Joining us to help us sort through it is a mutual friend and a great warrior for the cause. He's the president of Judicial Watch. He's Tom Fitton. Well, Tom, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Larry. Hi, Mercedes. Good to be with you both.
I get so depressed when I look at what's transpiring in Manhattan right now, because this really isn't... It's not the America I thought we had here, Tom, to be honest with you. The fact that the judicial system can be used in such a blatant and obvious way. And also, frankly, after our conversation with Brent Bozell, I get even more depressed knowing that if you rely on the mainstream media, you're not even getting the basic facts of this case right now.
Yeah, it's not a judicial proceeding. It's a political proceeding. They've hijacked the... all of the kind of appearances of court trials and things that people are used to in terms of what happens in a criminal proceeding, but it has this kind of vague appearance of that, but it's not really that. And so that's why you hear lawyers on TV of both the left and the right utterly confused about what's going on. If people don't know what's going on and can't explain something, it's usually because there's politics involved.
Yeah,
you're going to be talking. You're going to be talking about the Hunter case, later in the show. Yeah. That's a straightforward criminal trial. There's a form he was supposed to fill out honestly. He didn't. It's like, were you a drug addict or not when you fill out the form saying you weren't? I mean, that's a pretty easy case to understand. That's the way criminal trials are supposed to go. This is like the equivalent of a political convention, but more corrupt.
And so my question, Tom, is how can the judge just get away with this? I mean, even with the jury instructions, there seems to be a lot of confusion. It definitely, there's a sense that the judge is trying to push this verdict in a particular way. I mean, is this something that, knowing that this is like everyone's watching what's happening in the courtroom here, I mean, how can the judge get away with this?
Well, how can Adam Schiff get away with what he did? Or Hillary? I mean, it's a political proceeding, and so the normal checks are not there in terms of what happens in a court proceeding or a legal proceeding. And there are no consequences, seemingly, in New York for engaging in this type of misconduct. Remember, he's got the support of the media complex up there, the whole political system that appointed him, and certainly he's working in tandem with the Democratic Party boss up there, Boss Bragg, who's the district attorney. He's already been dinged a little bit by the Judicial Commission, the Ethics Commission up in New York State, for giving illicit contributions to politicians, namely Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't care. The courts aren't working in the way they would in the ordinary course. And what's happened is that it's because Trump's involved. When Trump's involved, there are no rules, and he doesn't have civil rights. There doesn't have to be any evidence for even a jury to be impaneled. I mean, I'm not excited that the jury, everyone's excited, well, the jury's now handling this. The jury shouldn't be handling this. There's nothing to handle. There were no crimes. There's no evidence.
Right.
It's like, they might as well be, figuring out the rules of a board game that some kids made up.
The jury was given an hour's worth of jury instructions. It took 53 pages for the judge to explain them, but then they're not allowed to take any of those instructions in with them. They did send a note back out to the judge, and they asked for those instructions to be read again. They also asked for more information related to the testimony of David Pecker and of Michael Cohen. It looks as though they are going through the deliberative process and specifically trying to focus on that key testimony and how it fits with what the prosecution is trying to claim the crime at hand is. If this hinges on Michael Cohen, though, based on the jury instructions, I mean, he was caught in a couple of lies on the witness stand, let alone the actual lies that caused him to do jail time over perjury. One would think that a jury would conclude that this witness shouldn't be trusted and then there goes the case, right? Or is it just so politicized, Tom, that just that basic realization won't come through?
Yeah, when you're a jury, you're going to come to a verdict, right? And there are going to be jurors there who think, well, we've been directed to come to a verdict, and we're going to go through all this fake evidence, don't understand that it's fake evidence, and apply it to what we've been told are crimes, even though they aren't crimes. This is an Alice in Wonderland type legal proceeding that has been compromised by a judge who told the jury that they don't even have to agree what the underlying crime is that Trump supposedly had a intent on violating when he accurately, or his people accurately described legal expenses as legal expenses. There's just the reason you have lawyers have difficulty explaining what's going on, or laymen like myself, is because there's nothing normal about this.
Right.
So now the jury's going through this. The jury's being asked to do something that they should have been asked to do. They should have been directed by Judge Merchant to come to an acquittal. They should have had a directed verdict, and there should have been no deliberations. And this case should have never been near a courtroom. Judge Merchant should never have been near this case, and certainly those poor jurors who probably are, they're there in good faith. They weren't voluntarily brought in. They had to show up. They're being asked to put gloss and put lipstick on this pig. It's still a pig, and it's a real ugly, messy one.
We'll let that one stand on its own. I think it's a vivid description. Tom, thanks for everything you do. It's great talking with you. And let's just we've been talking about prayers a lot today, and let's keep praying that this thing gets sorted out appropriately. And
because Trump could go to jail after all of this. Still, Larry, for all of this craziness, this man could lose his freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows if the verdict goes south? Is Merchant, the nut job, going to just take him into custody immediately? I don't know. All bets are off.
If he wants that Joe Biden Supreme Court nomination, I think he will. That's literally how politicized this entire escapade is. Thanks, Tom. Judicial Watch, judicialwatch.org.